Fox here. I've got a great 70s rock guitar lesson from a fantastic American band. I haven't done a lesson for these guys yet, and today's the day, so we're going to do Cheap Trick. This is Big Eyes off of their In Color album, which was, I think, released in 1977. These guys are, in my opinion, the kings of power pop rock. So recommended listening anything they've ever recorded, like all of their albums. So for you want to play along with the actual record, you're going to want to tune to standard, and same thing with this lesson, you want to tune to standard. So we will go ahead and get started with that introduction riff. Okay, so here's the introduction riff. So let's go through that. So the very first part is you're going to have your middle finger here on the second fret of the low E. First finger is going to be on the first fret of the A, and then you're playing an open D string. So we have, it feels more comfortable for me just to play all down picks with this. Now, if you just take that same shape, move it down one string each, so your second finger or middle finger is going to be here on the second fret of the A. First finger is going to be on the first fret of the D, and then you're playing an open G. So far we have this. Now we're going to go to the second fret of the D string with your middle finger, and you're going to play the open G and B string, and we have this. So we have, the last part of this little riff is going to shift down here to the fourth fret of the D string. We're still playing the G and B string open, so it gets, so all together slowly. Then a little bit more up to tempo. We're playing this riff that actually is the same riff that is in the chorus, and it involves octaves. So octaves are the same note played up higher or lower in the scale. So in this case we're playing a D to start with, and I'll play the riff up to tempo just so you can hear what it sounds like. So it's, octaves are a great way to, especially if you're a single guitar player, to thicken up a riff. So basically all you're doing is playing this exact same note up higher, so you get this kind of sound versus here or just here. Jimi Hendrix used this technique a lot in his songs, and it's used a lot in all rock. But when you're playing this, you want to make sure that you're only hitting, in this case it's going to be the 5th fret of the A string and the 7th fret of the G, but we're not going to hit the open D. We're going to stay away from the D string. So you're going to need to let your first finger kind of mute that with the kind of the palm or the fleshy part of your finger there. So you get a, and then we're just going to go. Now we're keeping that exact same position, just like that, except we're going to shift from the D, which is in the 5th position, to a B octave, which is in the 2nd position. So that's going to be 2nd fret of the A, 4th fret of the G. We have this. Now we're going to play so we're going to shift up here to the A sharp octave and do a, and you're just shifting from A sharp to B, back to A sharp, open A, G string, or not G string, G note on the E string, and then open E. So we have this all together. I'll play it slowly. is a real typical rock and roll rhythm that, I mean, it's used so much, but it works so well. And in this song, really, these guys are really in the pocket with this riff. But it's kind of like a blues shuffle. So what we're going to be, I'll play it up to tempo for you first. So here it goes. So that's the verses right there. That's the riff that you're playing in the two verses. So what we're doing here, we've got our first finger here on the 3rd fret of the low E, ring fingers on the 5th fret of the A, and then we're playing so we're shifting back and forth. We're adding this D here, which I think is a 6th, and just going back and forth from. So that's actually, what you're fretting. In between that, you're adding an extra muted low E. So it's. Now we're going to shift from the G5 chord, or G5 shuffle chord there, down to the 8th position, which is going to be a C, and play the exact same thing. But our fretting hand is going to be here on the 8th fret of the low E, 10th fret of the A, and the movement is going to occur from the 10th fret of the A to the 12th fret of the A back to the 10th. So you get a. Then it goes back into the main riff again. So when you come back into, which will be the chorus, is you're going to play that chorus, that main riff there we just did, 4 times. So it's going to go this 1, 2, this is 4. Then the second verse starts, same riff. Riding that C5, and then go back into that. We're going into the chorus again, so that chorus riff. And this is the time it's only going to be played twice. This bridge is, I guess it'd be considered a bridge or maybe part of the guitar solo, but this little riffage here is right before Rick Nielsen's very neat, clever guitar lead. So it goes like this. So let's talk about that. So it's kind of, we're in that same kind of position that we did here in the. So we're in that same kind of vicinity. But the first part is going to be here on the D string. You're being playing that's going to be 2nd fret of the D to 1st fret of the D, back to the 2nd fret. So, and then we're going to grab this. That's going to be played on the A string. That's going to be 2nd fret of the A, 3rd fret of the A, back to the 2nd fret, and then an open A. So we have this. And then we play this. And that's going to be 2nd fret of the low E to 3rd fret. Then shift to the A string and play the same thing, 2nd fret of the A to 3rd fret. So far we have this. Now it comes back and repeats again. Same thing we learned earlier, but there's a little difference here. So we go back to the riff on the D string and do the. Then you're going to play that. Similar, well, it's this part of that introduction riff. So that's again 2nd fret of the A, 1st fret of the D, and the G is played open. Let's play again what we have. Repeat that again. Nothing changes here. But right here it's different. We go back to that introduction riff and play that. So we're just doing that first part. We're doing the. And then I'm ending here on a E note, which is the 2nd fret of the D. However, right when Rick goes into his guitar solo, he's doing some dive bombing, some weird kind of things with his tremolo. I'm not sure really what's going on there. So for my ears, it just sounded nice to be able to go and just hold that D right before I go into the guitar solo and put some vibrato. So the first part of guitar solo, you're playing here on the 12th fret of the G, you're just hitting that note, and then you're just doing kind of an aggressive shake with your tremolo bar. And then we get this. So that's going to be 11 to 12 to 11 on the G string. You're going to pick that. And then you're going to shift here from the 9th fret of the G to the 11th fret of the G and do a trill. Then a trill is just a hammer-on pull-off, so you're picking the first note and then you're letting the hammer occur here on the 11th fret and the pull-off back to the 9. I think it trills 3 times. And then you're doing this kind of climb up the fretboard. So that's going to be 9, 11, 12 on the G. Then you're going to play 11, 12, 14 on the G. And then you're going to play this. That's going to be 12, 14 on the G, 12, 14, 15 on the B. So it sounds like this kind of slowly. So let me play what we have so far. We have now, I haven't showed you that bend yet, but when we get to the 15th fret of the B string, we're doing a full bend, which a whole step bend is going to be 2 frets away from this note. So we're bending to this note on the 17th fret of the B. Now once you go up and do that full bend, you're going to let it, mute it, stop it, and then do it. So Rick is basically pushing the string up here on the 15th fret of the B, and then grabbing here on the 15th fret of the high E, this note, and it's a really cool kind of double stop blues rock lick. And nothing as far as there's no bend here on the high E, so it just stays here. The bend, all the motion and the bending is occurring here at the 15th fret of the B. And then once you, and I'm doing a hybrid picking, meaning I'm grabbing that E string here with my middle finger, but you could pick it. But you want those two strings to ring together. You don't want to mute that high E. You want it to actually ring out with the B string. And then you're just letting that 15th fret of the B here, that's a D note, you're letting that kind of come down. So far, we got this. Okay, now from there we do so let me play up to that point there. So we have so when we come back from this, we're doing a hammer-on pull-off here from 14 to 15 on the G, and then grabbing the 12th fret of the B, and then playing 15, 14, 12, but there's going to be a pull-off from 14 to 12. Then you're doing this lick. Play it again from just to put everything in perspective here. Now we do this. You're coming back and pulling off from 14 to 12 here. Another pull off to the 14th fret of the D. And then you're playing this riff. Now what Rick is doing here is he's basically barring his first finger across the 12th fret of the G and B. And then we're doing a little pull down with that finger. And that's going to be 14 of the D, 12 of the D, and then hammer on back to the 14. So we have this, and then it repeats again. So let's again go back to where we start from the beginning so we can put everything into context here. And then we do this. And that's just going to be played from 12th fret of the G to 14, and we're doing. And so once we get to the 14, we're doing a slight little bend up, and then coming back to the 12th fret of the G. And then we do this lick that's similar to that intro lick. And then it finishes here on the, 20th fret of the B. So we do this. We're going to show you that kind of lick that mimics that introduction lick. It's going to be 15 of the B to 14. And then that's going to be the 16th fret of the G. So we have. Then we're going to shift down here to the 15th fret of the high E and play this. So that's going to be 15 high E, 14 high E to 17 B. And then from 17 B, you're going to go all the way down to the finish here on the 20th fret of the B. And he's just kind of helping, holding that lick. Now, there's one final verse. So when you come out of that guitar solo, you're going to go straight to that C shuffle, blues shuffle riff we learned earlier. That. back into the same chorus riff. But at this point, we go and we play that introduction, that very first chordal lick we learned 4 times through. So it goes. Back to the main chorus riff. So everything we've already learned. So it changes up right there at the very end. We repeat that. So in the last final chorus, or the outro of the song, when we play that 4 times through, first time we do this, so that little part there repeats twice. Go back into that same, chorus riff we learned. Play it again. Play that 3 times, and then it goes, and then Robin sings the last chorus, and then the final part it goes, oops, messed that up totally. So that's the entire thing. So you basically are just kind of playing the same riff that you're playing in the chorus. You're just, repeating a little portion of that over and over on that outro. But that little last part is, and then that last chord is just an E5 chord, and that's just 2nd fret of the A open E string played together.